We have some breaking inputs coming in at the moment. Iran has threatened Donald Trump. Iran vows revenge now. Tehran has warned Donald Trump. Tehran says, you will pay. Trump must pay the price. We won't let it go. So Tehran is now warning of retaliation and has blamed Trump for killings. We will retaliate in kind. Iran has hardened its stand on United States of America. This is a warning for Donald Trump coming in from Iran. Trump must pay the price. A post has been put out by Ali Larijani in which he says that they won't let Trump off the hook. He must pay the price. He's martyred our leader and our people. This isn't a simple matter. We won't let it go until we retaliate in kind. Let's try and go across to Srinjoy Chaudhary for more on this. Warnings coming in from Iran now. Donald Trump will have to pay. We have Captain Akhilesh Saxena in the studio along with Robinder Sachdev, founder, president, Imagine India Institute. Mr. Sachdev, Iran says Donald Trump will have to pay for the killings, including that, of course, of the supreme leader of Iran.
Oh, yes, certainly. They're saying that. They have been saying that, and they will keep saying that. Even if they get hammered, ugly and bad. I mean, that's the position out there. But yes, what it shows is that we are just talking, or you were mentioning that, the supreme leader is to be elected or selected. There seemed to be maybe some little gap in the views amongst the top leadership. The president of Iran yesterday apologized to the Middle East countries and said that we will not attack you from one of the American bases in your countries, right? Within hours of that, Larijani, the National Security Advisor, who's a hardliner, he said, no, we are going ahead. So there seem to be some gaps there, but Pezeshkian, the president, in any case, if we will remember, was supposed to be a moderate when he got elected, right? So there could be some such differences there, but overall, the regime, if we were to say, has kind of, coagulated, consolidated, and they're very deep. Another element could be that, attacks are continuing on the Gulf countries, is that the Republican Guard, they might have been decentralized in terms of their decision making. That's also being said. So amongst all of this, in this whole, bucket that we have, it seems very clear that the counterattacks, they will continue. The point is that, they got limited. I find it strange or surprising maybe, when they say that they will not attack the Gulf countries. Couple of logical reasons. One, Israel is far. Iran has only about 2,000 or 2,500 medium-range ballistic missiles which can reach Israel, and those two would be shot down by the air defense system, right? Whereas Iran has a much larger, stockpile of short-range missiles, drones, which can pop across the Gulf and into the Arab countries. Plus, though the Arab countries may be saying we are not helping the US, but the American bases in these countries are very much coordinating electronics, surveillance,
and
intel gathering.
That's why warning has come in for them as well. That we won't hit you, but you also have to ensure that you will not allow US to use your facilities, water space, airspace, or your territory. I quickly want to bring in Srinjoy Chaudhary. Donald Trump says unconditional surrender. Iran says we will not let you off the hook and you will have to pay the price.
President Trump earlier had not talked about unconditional surrender. He is now. Now, the point is, so far, this has just been bombing from the air. And yes, the air war has lasted 9 days, and it could last 9 more days or maybe 3 weeks. This is what he himself has said, that this could last 3 weeks, a whole month. Now, maybe this will be the first time, but in history does not show any regime change or unconditional surrender by just an air war. You can bomb a country continually, but there has to be boots on the ground. Historically, there are no signs of that. You could argue about Japan in 1945. That Japan, the 4 major islands of Japan were not invaded. But in that case, as in the case of Japanese, two atomic bombs were used. Besides, the Japanese army had almost been fought to a standstill for 4 years. So this is a little different. Without, maybe this will, we don't know. But so far, history does not show a country that has surrendered in the way that Trump wants a surrender by just an air war. So we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. But so far, President Trump is calling for unconditional surrender. Something he's just started doing in the last 2-3 days.
He has hardened his stand on Iran. He says it will have to be unconditional surrender or nothing. Let's listen to that reaction.
Can you give us an idea of what unconditional surrender looks like to you? I mean, what do you want from Iran?
I said unconditional, not conditional. I said unconditional. It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer and there's nobody around to cry uncle. That could happen too, because we've wiped out their leadership numerous times already. So it's if they surrender, or if there is nobody around to surrender, but they're rendered useless in terms of military.
Captain Saxena, Donald Trump said unconditional surrender, nothing less than that. Iran also hardening its stand, saying we will not let you off the hook. You'll have to pay the price, all of that. But Srinjoy made a very important point. You cannot do that unless you have boots on ground.
So if you really see yesterday, the statement which came from their president, Iranian president, so it was also seen as, Iran is softening the stand. And if you really see one more statement from President Trump, he also said that Iran has surrendered to Middle East country, right? So in a war of narratives, he's trying to say that now Iran is going down, right? So he's taken one step where he's saying he will not attack on the Middle East country, and that's a beginning. And he also shown his stance that, he will not give up, less than complete surrender. So he is also trying to send the message to all across Iranian public also, because now Iranian public has consolidated. They came together after the death of their supreme leader. So he wanted to break that unity. Now Iran has realized this. That's why you see, there was a statement again given by, president, and saying that till the time we are attacked from there. And now Ali Rajani has also clarified that we are going to take revenge. So Iran also want to give the clear message through this that we are not going to let up in the war and we are going to fight. See, it is very important for the Iran that their entire community, their people, their all organization, they are coming together because they are fighting with the might of US and Israel. So keeping everyone within the country together is very important. So that's why now they have recalibrated their statement and saying that they are not going to give up, they are going to fight, and there was a clarification on this. So Trump, obviously, he's trying to ensure that, these people in Iran, they get a message that now Iran is softening, and that's an indication that they are going for the surrender. But Iran also want to give a message, and that's why there was a clarification that in next 24 hours, they will also select their supreme leaders. So that's a clear message that we are going ahead in our path, and we'll continue this war till the time America steps back.
I believe, have the entire statement that was issued by Mr. Larijani, in which, he speaks about the president's openness to de-escalation. At the same time, the warnings that have been issued to Donald Trump. Let me take you through the statement. It says, and I quote, President Pezeshkian's openness to de-escalation within our region, provided that our neighbors' airspace, territory and waters are not used to attack the Iranian people, was almost immediately killed by President Trump's misinterpretation of our capabilities, determination and intent. So he's saying that Trump is responsible. Right. We don't want escalation in the neighborhood, but our plans were killed because of Donald Trump. So he's justifying that by saying Donald Trump is responsible for all of this. If Mr. Trump seeks escalation, it is precisely what our powerful armed forces have long been prepared for and what he will get. Responsibility for any intensification of Iran's exercise of self-defense will lie squarely with the US administration. Mr. Trump's week-long misadventure has already cost the US military $100 billion. In addition to the lives of young soldiers, when markets reopen, that cost will balloon and directly be transferred to ordinary Americans at pumping stations. Captain Saxena, you were talking about Donald Trump now addressing, and Mr. Sachdev also addressing the people of Iran. He wants them to come together to mount pressure. Iran is doing the same. Through this statement, Mr. Sachdev, Iran is also telling the people of America, look, you're losing money and you're losing young lives as well. He's also saying, when the markets reopen, the cost will balloon and directly be transferred to ordinary Americans at pumping stations. So he's also addressing the people of America here. And he's saying that you will have to bear the brunt.
No, absolutely. He's hitting quite a few very interesting buttons of pushing. He's also mentioning that this is a war of choice pursued by a small cabal of Israel firsters, and Israel first always means America last, right? And there is a huge debate, big debate going on in the US that is it a case of the tail wags the dog or the dog wags the tail, that Israel is pushing America into this war, and many of the MAGA crowd, people like Tucker Carlson and such, you know, who are influential in the MAGA world, are saying that this is not a war for us, this is not America first. Next, other thing I would like to say is that there's a lot of talk about the terms regime change. I would like to clarify, I think there are nuances to that. Is Trump seeking a regime displacement, that this entire regime goes, a complete new power block comes to power? Or is Trump talking about a change of direction of the present regime? That is, in the present regime, they are knocking off the layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. Some of them will then say, okay, enough is enough, you know, yeah, we are staring at a disaster. Let us agree to America like Venezuela. So that's, you know, change of direction of the regime. Or do you want a complete regime displacement, or do you want the regime to collapse? Because you see, the way I look at it, if this air war continues or air attacks continue, definitely it could lead high chances that the regime could collapse. Because you see what happened 6 months ago, bombing, infrastructure damage, people killed, their ego hurt, morale lost, right? The opposition, you know, kind of encouraged. Now, if they were to stop even today, I would feel that they have increased the chances of maybe regime collapse. But the way things have gone, especially the killing of Khamenei, that may have had the reverse effect.
But you know, difficult to predict what Donald Trump wants, since in his statements he's been saying that there's a lot changing in terms of leadership and we are wiping them out. So what kind of leadership is he looking at?
He wants a strong leader within the present regime who will just do what they tell them.
That's pro-America. So he's looking for a Delchi Rodriguez, but that's not
the Venezuela
possible.
Model.
That's not possible. Just quickly, I want to finish this statement because Mr. Larijani goes on to say, and here in this second last paragraph, that the American people voted to end involvement in costly quagmires in the Middle East. Instead, they have ended up with an administration that Netanyahu, after decades of failed attempts, finally managed to dupe into fighting Israel's wars. So he's saying that Israel has managed to dupe America, and the American people who voted for involvement to end will now have to pay the price for all of this. This is a war of choice pursued by a small cabal of Israel firsters, and Israel first always means America last. So directly addressing the people of America, saying it's a total loss for you Americans. Yesterday, Iran's president said sorry to neighbors for attacks. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has apologized to the neighboring countries for attacks launched during its war with Israel and the United States, but asserted that Tehran will not strike unless they attack first. But in less than 24 hours, the words have been broken by Iran. There are multiple reports coming in. We've been getting you updates, and these are the visuals. Explosions, herds, buildings targeted, high-rise buildings bombed. This one is coming in from Kuwait. Now, along with sorry, you also had a post coming in or statement coming in from Mr. Arakchi, where he said that, yes, our president wants de-escalation, but the condition is that the neighboring countries, the Gulf countries, should also not allow America to use their facilities, their airspace, their waters and their territory. If that happens, then Iran will continue to act in self-defense. This is also being seen as cracks in the leadership, because the president apologizes, the next minute you have attacks. Dubai has come under attack once again. Debris from an intercepted Iranian projectile struck a landmark tower in Dubai Marina, leaving smoke rising from its facade. Air defense systems successfully, however, intercepted the incoming projectile, but falling debris had caused minor damage to the exterior of a building in Marina. We'll play out those visuals as well. Here, you have the visuals on your screens. The missile was intercepted. The debris of the projectile, however, managed to cause whatever damage that was captured here on camera. In a statement that was posted on social media, the Dubai media office confirmed that emergency teams responded to the incident and secured the area. The marina is located near several prominent sites. We're looking at a high-profile area, which also includes the American University of Dubai and the Dubai Marina Mall. Captain Saxena, this is what the neighboring countries have to deal with, because they are allowing US to use their facilities. Iran says, as long as you keep doing that and don't attack us first, we want de-escalation. But if you attack us first, then we'll have to retaliate.
If we really see the statement which was given by Iranian president yesterday, now Trump has used that statement in a different way, right? First, he given the message that Iran is surrendered. Iran has surrendered to the Middle East countries. That was the first message he has given, which was also given the indication that now Iran is going down and they may surrender. And that's why he talked about that I will not stop anything before complete surrender. Second, he also instigated all the Iranian by saying, we want to make Iran great again. So make Iran great again, the same slogan he has given them, right? So when this was analyzed by the Iranian, they realized that, their motive was to de-escalate, but then Trump is using it as a war of narratives, which is maybe causing a damage to the way what Iran is doing. So if your statement which you have just read, if you really say, they say they wanted to de-escalate, but the way Trump has kind of, conveyed their feeling and conveyed their message, the entire responsibility will be on Trump. And now, in bargain, they are now asking the US people, population, they are clearly telling them that this is not your war. And US is here just because Netanyahu or Israel has dragged you there. There is a cost of 100 billion, which is obviously will be paid by the people and the taxpayer. So Iran is giving back in the same coin, and there are some protests is already happening in the US. And Iran knows that if President Trump has to listen to anyone, it's going to be the US, their own people, their own population. So they are also trying to play the same card. So it's very interesting, as I say, it's a war of attrition. Who blinked first? And Iran is also leaving no stone unturned to harden their stand all over again and saying that we will continue on to this path till the time US kind of, says sorry and goes back to his own region. So it's a very interesting situation which has been developed. And I think we will have a very clear, definitive direction tomorrow when we will have the next supreme leader being selected by the Iranian council.
But how different, Mrs. Sachdev, is the new supreme leader and the process going to be from the old one? What is America expecting and what is the world looking at?
See, if the new leader is the son of Khamenei, Mojtaba, then it will indicate that the Revolutionary Guard has taken full control or much more control of the political cleric process. Mojtaba has been working in the background. He has very good relations with the Republican Guard. He has good respect amongst the clerics, and he's been the backroom guy. He's also been the guy working out the economic, economic business interests of Iran because of sanctions. There is a Revolutionary Guard which spawned a host of companies, shell companies, etc. They're into construction, they're into multiple businesses, right? Even selling of oil because of sanctions is happening through third parties, etc. So Revolutionary Guard plays a role therein also. So he's plugged into that system. So if he is elected, selected and nominated, then it means that Iran is definitely in for the longer haul, and the influence of the Republican Guard will get even, more intense within the whole apparatus. If it is somebody else, actually, then it could be pretty different. We don't know. The other thing with Mojtaba is that it will open up to the criticism that this is a dynastic kind of a succession. Whereas the Ayatollahs and the Islamic regime, they were against the monarchy, Shah, right? So they're saying there should be no dynasty. So if he gets elected, that will be some little coloring which will be there. That is a dynastic succession. But I think that may be that may not count as much as the fact that he is perhaps going to be the most effective from their point of view, from the Iranian point of view, from the point of view of the current regime, if the Republican Guard is continuing to dominate, which it will, because the Republican Guard is the skeleton of the Iranian regime, and it was set up to protect the revolution.
So the next 24 hours will actually be crucial, and they will decide the course of the war. We have some breaking inputs coming in. I'll come to you after that. The Gulf Cooperation Council says Iran's continued attacks against Bahrain and Kuwait are dangerous acts of aggression that threaten regional security and stability. So GCC Secretary General Jassim Mohammad Al-Budewi has said that the attacks reveal Iran's escalatory approach and strongly condemned what he called Tehran's nefarious attacks on the region. There's a post that has been put out in which he says, and I quote, His Excellency the Secretary General of the GCC conducts a number of communications with their Highnesses, Excellencies and Graces, the foreign ministers of the GCC states, to discuss developments of the reprehensible Iranian aggressions against the GCC states. So the Gulf Cooperation Council saying these are dangerous acts of aggression that Iran is resorting to. It's an escalatory approach of Iran and is strongly condemned. They are also calling it nefarious attacks on the region by Iran, Captain Saxena.
Yeah. And definitely this was coming all the way, because, you know, they were just getting all the attacks from Iran, and they were not kind of counter-attacking onto the Iran, right? So that was one thing, though Iran was also making it clear that he is only going to first hit the assets of US. But if you really see, after the first initial attack, US has shifted their assets, including the soldiers, to some of the hotels. And in the next wave, you see attack coming onto some of these hotels where the US assets was there. So Iran is continuously working. Second, now Iran also started attacking on the energy infra, because Iran understood they cannot fight Israel and US for a very long time. So the only way to escalate the war and bring so many other stakeholders was to, you know, get attack on the energy infrastructure. And the next was in the water was the purification plant, where they will hit the energy and the life of the common people, so that there's a lot of pressure back on US to, you know, settle the war quickly. So this was coming, and I'm sure in this meeting they are going to decide that if Iran continue the attack, they are going to attack back onto the Iran. I think, you know, that's a very logical solution.
The GCC now hitting out at Iran